Okay, I'm recording to the cloud. Should I make you?
You're not recording to the cloud. You're recording locally.
I sure chose it.
We take the box to the cloud.
All right.
Oh, yep. Okay, it's on the cloud.
Okay, so give it back to you guys then.
Yep.
Sure.
Or no, it doesn't. Yeah. Why don't you give it to Nathaniel? You can give it to me if you'd like, if it works for two.
Okay.
I'm the host now.
Yeah, it's showing you. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for your patience and thank you for being present here today for our World Summit, Mini Summit activation of bringing together all of the supporters that have been with us for a while now. And we here are now going to reach out to you guys and start synergizing and organizing on another level. And so we have an agenda today. Hopefully you've all been able to go over it. Since there's a lot of people here, we're gonna kind of skip the introductions. All I'll do is I will go ahead and go through the names of the invitees. And if you're here, you can just raise your hand, say hello. Then we'll quickly get through a presentation that we have, and then we're gonna open the floor to you guys. And we're gonna, start talking, answering your questions and going through the agenda. So yeah, this is exciting. So our inviting today are, we have Colin Turner on the phone.
Hello.
Hey, Colin. Mike Upstone. Saw him here. Hey, Mike. David Cam. Not here. Josh Pasmore. Not here. Richard Ormiston.
Yeah.
Heard from you. Hey, Richard. Steve Saylor.
Not in yet.
Nope, he's not in yet.
Okay. Tevin. Chips.
Oh, Josh is in here now.
Hey, Josh. Welcome.
Hey guys. I'll mute.
Mo Rediford.
Hi there.
Hey, Mo. Elavina Oneness.
Nope.
Nia Shah. Kishore. See him there. Marlo Brown.
Give her excuse.
Kelly Kingston. Hey, Kelly. Brett Warshawski. Okay. Paola Fior. Where's she at?
Might check in later. Yeah.
Paul Linda. Mesfin Zayed. Lawrence Frilberg. Kavita Void. Cynthia Tina. Ben Bowler. Steve Smith.
Present and correct.
Yes. Yeah. And then we also have our Unity Core team here, just so you guys can introduce yourself to everybody. We have Parmjet and Alejandra over there. In another room, we have Denise Wise. All of us are at the Synergy Hub right now in Playa del Carmen. We have Rob Uzel. Wait, Rob. We've got, everybody pretty much knows Troy. Troy and Robert, Tram, Lise in the background. You guys, did I miss anybody? We have Nathaniel. He's not with us, but he is always with us. And that's it. Did I miss anybody, guys?
Yeah, you got there's Tony Craigle.
Where's
in Mexico?
Hi, I'm here.
Hey, Tony. Hey.
Got Matt Dow in England.
Hey, Matt.
Jody and Rogers in England.
Also,
yeah,
Pauline.
Pale. I'm joining from Costa Rica as well. Yeah. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
I'm coming to Playa del Carmen soon as well. So I'll see you guys.
And I think, did you mention Denise? She just came
Yep.
to the, okay.
Yeah. I think we got everybody, yeah? Okay, so what we've done, I think we're not going to be using chat today, just so we can stay really focused because we have a lot of people and I'm sure a lot of people are going to want to say a lot of stuff. First, we're going to go to the presentation. Robert's going to kick that off. And yeah, we appreciate you all being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tiana.
Just before we begin, I just contacted Steve Saylor and he did not have the link. So if we could redistribute that to the invited people.
The link on this messenger.
Awesome.
I just sent in, so.
Robert, did you want to share your screen?
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Tiana. Really exciting, of course. It's great to see everybody here. So thanks for that. It's great to read everybody's bios also.
Thank you.
Facebook, and so many beautiful persons, people, and projects. So thank you for being here. Of course, we created a presentation, but we also have an understanding that we all look into the world with our own different lenses, and we have our own filters. So for us, it was finding a way how we could sort of make it comprehensible and open, accessible to everyone. So we'll take you through the presentation, and we want to start with the first slide.
We're going to go through the agenda first.
Hey, can everybody hear Robert okay? Thumbs up.
A bit quiet.
It's a bit,
No.
it's a bit
No,
low.
Sounds like we're hearing him on a secondary microphone. It's like his own microphone isn't working.
Yeah, is there a way, Robert, you can speak up or adjust that?
I just rebooted my laptop. It should be good on that.
Yeah, let's try that.
Let's try it again. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Well, Robert, sorry, bud. You're just going to have to speak up.
Okay. It's really great that everybody's here. Great to see everybody's bios on the Facebook page. It's really wonderful, and it's inspiration that you're all attending here. So thanks for coming. I think we produced a presentation. We have it ready for you now, and we want to take you through it. Of course, we have an understanding that everyone looks to the world and experiences the world through their own lenses and our own filters. So that means that we all at different levels of awareness. So it means that we will all interpret things maybe a little bit different, but we will take you through it, and we think that we have come up with a presentation that's accessible and open enough for everyone. So we want to start with the first slide.
Let me share. Okay. So, let me know if everybody can see that. Okay. Okay. Can everybody see that? Okay. Okay.
Okay. So we can give you 1,000 reasons why we need to unify. But if we could view the Earth from standing on the moon, then we wouldn't have to say nothing at all. We would see immediately, and we would be in awe. And we could experience the oneness of everything. So the purpose-driven focus of the World Summit is to unify groups and individuals and movements around the world to begin bypassing our imaginary borders and outdated systems, and begin to create new systems to self-governance, to flip into a regenerative paradigm. This is what we all feel inside. is the thing to do. And to do that, we maintain a laser focus on creating the World Summit event itself. At this event, we will figure out together how to unify and align best, and we can begin stepping into the new paradigm.
So what we see is really it's a historic phase change event in our human history. I personally think going back 10,000 years to a whole different worldview. And so we're at this historic point right now where I think we're ready to have a metamorphosis into what I think is our true humanity beyond our outdated systems that just divide and separate us. So I'm sure all of you are aware of all this and see it, and maybe you're familiar with the concept of exponential curves or the exponential function. In a nutshell, if you look at the little graphic there on the right, if you graph out all, anything in the world right now, it seems, and it grows at a constant rate, whether it's the economy or whatever, even if it's only growing 3% a year, due to the compounding effect, that, eventually it starts looking like what they call a hockey stick. And so it becomes an exponentially growing phenomena or an exponentially depleting phenomena, whether you're talking deforestation or species extinction, etc., or even global debt. And so the point is that there's a lot of bad stuff right now that we're aware of it's getting into dangerous exponential territory. Simultaneously, if you look at on this inward spiral on the left, there's a whole bunch of great things that have been happening in our consciousness, our worldviews, our spirituality, our awareness. Going back to like the 1850s with the invention of libraries and social sciences, more holistic healthcare, and awareness of indigenous rights, and the environmental problems and ideas such as being renewable, and inequality and climate awareness. All this is culminating into things like automation and robotics, where jobs are going away, and so we've got to radically change our paradigm just for that itself. And the internet is our global consciousness that wasn't possible to do before what we're doing on this call right now. And one thing I think to focus on is that exponentials are not just about something growing exponentially faster. Well, it's about things speeding up. So not only bad things are happening faster and faster, but breakthroughs are happening faster and faster. So if you look at the inward trajectory of that spiral, and you see that it's speeding up, getting faster and faster until we get to now. It's a singular point in history where things cannot go on this long, this way for very much longer. Something's got to give. Either we break down or we break through, and that's the giving birth to a new humanity. And it can be scary and painful, but that's the metamorphosis of the butterfly, from the caterpillar into the butterfly. So that's, go ahead.
Yeah, and we don't have 100 years or 50 years or 10 years left. The momentum is here and now, and we can rise to the occasion, and we already are rising to the occasion. So the World Summit is making visible the critical mass that already exists. I mean, worldwide, there are so many movements already active, trying or making the world, in their way, a better place with their own particular specific projects, and all great and beautiful. And we understand that it takes a critical mass to sort of get a movement or a transition going, and that's about 5 to 10% of in this case, the global population. So if you take a look what is already out there worldwide with these hundreds of thousands of activities and projects, movements, then you can really state that it is a reality that we already have this critical mass. It's only not connected fully yet. So what we want to achieve with the World Summit event is to activate, to connect, and to spark the transition and to create a snowball effect. So, and then things can happen exponentially fast. So I think for us, we can create this new world very soon, and we have to take it from step to step or step by step.
So, you know, we haven't been around that long. The World Summit is maybe 2.5 years old, but it's really kicked off, I'd say, maybe beginning with the first mini summit that we had in Holland with Tony and myself and Lise and a couple other Marianne and Harrods and yeah. And we came up with the pizza pie structure, which we'll talk a little bit more about later. And then it raised another octave last January with our mini summit here in Playa del Carmen, Mexico. And that's when we had about 8 or 9 groups from around the world and 18 delegates, I believe. And since then, we've been working behind this, what seems like behind the scenes, but doing a lot of work on creating this new table that we are inviting everybody to come to now. The table's not totally finished, it's not complete, it's open, it's evolving, but we've created a framework that's good enough for now to move forward with and start getting, we need everybody now to come sit at that table and help us take it to the next level. So I think we just had elections in the U.S. yesterday, and I expect more of the same, which is more of the failed leadership, but it's a system problem. So I don't think I think our politicians and our leaders are, however well intended, are incapable of solving our problems because it's a system problem. So I think we can do much better ourselves. We don't need, I think it's time to evolve beyond representative government and this polarizing, rivalrous two-party system or with where we vote. And we'll talk later on about we're arriving at new decision-making models where we actually don't need to make decisions anymore. We start arriving at decisions that work for everybody. But the key here is that if we're talking about creating a whole new system of self-governance, which is what we're doing, then we need you. We need all of us. And maybe we breezed over it, but the title slide of this is not our World Summit group. This is your World Summit. This is all of our World Summit. So here we are.
Yeah. And now it's time to activate our own empowerment and do it ourselves. So, and that's about creating wheels, or to speak, no more recreating wheels. And we ask you not to mistake the World Summit, because we are not a group or an entity or anything. It's a movement of movements, and at the moment we are a non-entity, and we will visualize as we take steps on the path forward. Everybody is busy on their own project, and that's understandable because we want to put energy in them and we want to support each other. And it seems like we're so focused and busy with our own projects that it's very hard to divide our energy and to, for a moment, zoom out and see what the potential is and the options are if we would unify. So basically we are working, no matter how great all projects are and no matter how great these visions are, we all working within our own membranes and we're all working in silos. And so we're not saying that's a bad thing, it's just an observation and we can do something with that. So if we take a look at our problems worldwide, you all know this, so not preaching against the wrong choir. We have holistic problems, and to solve them, we need a holistic view. So, and I think every one of us, every group and movement project is needed to get to the best solutions from this holistic view. So let's start putting all our wheels under a shared bus and drive in the same direction.
Yeah, if I could add to that, Robert. One thing, you know, we talk about silos, and you've probably heard the term silos of knowledge, but maybe we could call it silos of awareness. And there's all these great groups out there doing amazing stuff, but maybe this group doesn't see what another group is doing on the other side of the planet. Maybe they're duplicating efforts. And but I think all that's been appropriate to get us to where we are now. Now it's the next stage of our evolution, which is bringing awareness to all of these different projects around the world, amalgamate them into a system of decision making where we can start combining our efforts and maximizing our resources and share and unify on all the solutions to come up with a holistic approach.
And bring in the feedback loops.
Yeah.
So basically the solutions to all our problems, they are already out there, right? So, and by refining and amalgamating all the solutions that are available to us, we are revealing sort of to the beautiful simplicity on the other side of complexity. So it's like the sculpture that produces a beautiful statue, what you see here, chipping away such parts. So we're not saying that we want, that it's about eliminating projects or groups. It's more like taking a look what the functionality is now in the current paradigm and repurpose them, shift the energy. So like for instance, if people are working in oil business, and I'm not sure we mentioned it further on, but we can shift energy from people who are working there towards renewable energy. And it's about repurposing the sectors we have and the energies we have. So our solutions don't need to be equally complex. They can be simple compared to the problems we have now.
Okay, so this is the pizza slice organizational structure that we came up with in Holland, a year and a half, 2 years ago. And it's very simple, and they're just like on the previous slide, there's a beauty in simplicity. And it doesn't necessarily need to be overly complex and complicated. So this simple pie keeps us laser focused on creating the event itself without inadvertently falling back into recreating more wheels. And so we can quickly just go through maybe you've already seen all these slices, but we have communication, marketing, PR, outreach and onboarding, free cafe and synergy hub network, World Summit event itself, technology and governance, interim transition, and alternative funding. And we have a Unity core team now that just several of us on this call are in the Unity core team. So what this, if we expand a little bit, you can look at the details of what we're hoping that different people from different groups can plug into these different slices to get to work with us. And so we think this is where, can everyone mute? I'm getting some feedback here. If you can mute your microphone, thank you. We think this is where the the method to the madness comes in, or the metamorphosis from the caterpillar to the butterfly. And so this is amalgamating all of our, consolidating our resources, our energies, sharing things, and preparing for this metamorphosis. And just like a caterpillar does. So we're in the chrysalis at this stage. If we can unify groups and movements from around the world to come together from these 12 sectors. You may have seen this as the Wheel of Co-Creation. It basically covers all sectors of society. And whether it's spirituality or science or, so this is the head and heart of the planet. This is the inner and the outer. This is pretty much covering all quadrants of our existence. And we need to include all of that. And so we think this is a framework within which we can do that. And Robert, you were going to say a little something about this.
Yeah, at the event, we want to unite and align all the movements and projects, right? That are basically, we can sort of put them in 12 different sectors. This is the Wheel of Co-Creation, and the current society exists out of these 12 sectors. So basically, everyone who is now in one of these sectors is working on his own project. So what we have been doing with other groups, and what we sort of now talking about, is that we put in our energy in organizing within the World Summit core team. It's your World Summit, just a name, just a label. And we created this network, this table, this framework, right? That is now ready, but it's not complete yet. We have to organize the event, and we want to find out how to unify best, and we want to find out how we can create the best new model. Okay, to step into the new paradigm. So what we are wanting to do in this phase is, with this core, create again the table, and then after it we can go back or put main energy back into the projects and sectors that we have. So we are working on the global GPS system, and that stands for Global Problem Solving. We will share a little bit more about it later on. And we already started with mapping all these groups. We'll show also a little bit later on, there is a group already busy for years mapping all the projects in the different sectors. Okay, so once we have together completed this table, we can sort of, we have stepped back into our own energies and projects, and then we can do it again, but then create an interim transition team. And within this interim transition team, there is a graph database available, which we can run through all the data and all the solutions to come to the best option to form a new paradigm model. I think, again, I just shared with you, like, we can repurpose sectors. So jobs and energies will shift from one sector to another.
And this is where we would do, the interim transition team starts doing all the risk assessment and analysis to start visualizing and planning out on a tactical level the actual transition steps into a new paradigm so that nobody's left behind. Everything is thought out. There are no externalities that have not been considered. And
yeah, and here's where the feedback loops come in.
Yeah.
Because if you come up with a solution in one sector, then it has an effect on another sector. So, and that will run through this interim transition team.
And one of the bonuses is that you know all these little lines here. Those are interconnections between and across the sectors. So in actually getting to unify groups from all these sectors, it's not just starting to happen at the event itself. It's happening before the event and after the event. That's where the connections and the relationships take place.
And this is the chrysalis phase, right? The real metamorphosis. So, and then we come to a new model. And here we shift from the current 3D to 4D and perhaps even 5D. We don't know yet. We can see a new paradigm. We can see a sort of proof of concept to a model that we can flow into. And we can start healing and seeing the solutions, also how we can do it in a practical way, lowers a lot of barriers, which makes it more accessible and more acceptable. So I think we want to make a simple model all together. We can do it. We just have to do it together. And when we reach this level of simplicity, I guess that's the big plus, because for a lot of people, the current model seems very complicated.
And I would add also, I mean, we don't know exactly what this looks like, but as Martin Luther King said, we don't have to see the whole staircase. We just have to see one step at a time in front of us. And together we'll figure it out. And if you think this is utopia, I would suggest that what we have now, it's utopian to think we can keep on doing things the way that we're doing. How can we possibly do any worse than we're already doing?
Okay.
Hey, can I just jump in and I just want to make sure it's clear that even though we're showing the model here, we've made also a beginning in the teams where people are putting input, working really hard to, putting in their decision-making models, the database ideas. And so there is already activity and a lot of people that are participating in that way. Yeah. We're not just starting from a clean slate.
Perfect, Jana, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's what we say. We're building a table. It's not complete. Maybe the one chair leg is a little off and it's a little wobbly. It doesn't matter. But together, it's good enough to start moving forward. We'll improve the table. We'll build a pizza, and we can start figuring out together how to unify best to transition into a new paradigm. How to map and amalgamate the best solutions. So, and that gets us to what our tech and governance slice has been working on several different models. Number one, how to work best together. Number two, how to sort of create a funnel or whatever you want to call it, a way to channel in all the different proposed solutions that are out there, what all the different groups are working on. And then how do we, once we have created this graphical mapping database, with all that stuff plugged in, then we can start, instead of making decisions through voting and we know how messed up that is, we start arriving at decisions based on just something that seems so obvious. It seems so evident, just like you're not going to get into an argument or a debate with your GPS thing about how to get from point A to point B. And we're always in control. If we don't want to go that route, we just choose another route, or we turn it off and go naturally. So it becomes self-evident. And so I would ask you, there's a 5-minute version of this GPS, what we're calling a global problem-solving system, that Matt Dow and his COIO network already has the capability for this. And so it's not something in the future that we need to build, but we do need to build it out. And that's part of the amalgamation, what we call amalgamation. It's an amalgamation process, but we're also conceptualizing what we call AI, which is not artificial intelligence. It's an amalgamation of intentions. So we maintain and fully make the goal of human betterment at the core of any technology we use. So it's never in control. So this should alleviate any fears that people have of technology, because the technology is to serve us and the betterment of humanity. So anyway, check out these videos on your own time, but it's there's some good stuff happening there, and we want everyone to be a part of that process.
Okay. So like stated, we don't know yet how the new paradigm would look like, but it will look like a lot different than what we have today. So, and it's not important really to think that we can change physical structures overnight. We don't have to. That really doesn't matter. It's more that what's happening now is a revolution of the mind. So that means once we flip this switch in our mindsets, then things become much more clear and possible. So again, it will put the critical mass in motion. We want to spark it and take it to the next phase. The healing begins. The new model will unfold also the solutions. And I think the world will look a whole lot better.
So, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So people all around the world are starting to arrive at the awareness that they don't need permission and they don't need approval of our so-called leaders, because we feel that you already know what is best for this world, and you are your own leader, which means that it's very clear. The writing is on the wall, and we are the World Summit. You are the World Summit. We all are the World Summit. And well, if you want to quote the philosopher Krishnamurti, yes, to find out a way of living differently, that depends on you and not on someone else. You yourself are the teacher and the pupil. You are the master. You are the leader. You are everything.
So let's talk about what we're not. We don't see ourselves as a new governmental body which dictates to others, and we are not trying to reinvent the wheel or create a separate group. Again, we're a container or a membrane and a movement of movements, or a tribe of tribes. So it's about helping other groups, but creating a space for them to come in and help create your World Summit event. And so you may have already seen this before, but we think some powerful key words that basically set the context for the world that we're trying to create is that we don't pee for permission. We are not asking permission, nor do we need it from our leaders. We're creating a new table rather than fighting to get a seat at the existing table. And we are a nonviolent movement, so we're just going to bypass all of the existing failed tables. We recognize that most NGOs, charities, and protest groups around the world are addressing symptoms perpetually, year after year, to the extent of billions of dollars. And nothing ever really gets solved because the root cause is our outdated political and economic systems. Therefore, we have to bypass them, and don't think that we are not able to, because not only it's very possible, but we have to. It's just what's next for humanity. And questions, we don't claim to know all the answers and all the solutions, but we are confident everybody else does when we unify. And there's an urgency. Our house is on fire, so we need to put aside our differences and pass buckets and solve the problems. And oneness. There's one planet, one tribe. So let's put our focus on one mutual goal, which is the World Summit event, to realize our oneness.
Yeah. So what we see happening is that we see humanity is on the verge of cracking the dogma code. So we've been running around in circles, how it feels, for century after century. And we now come to a point in our evolution that we are able to grasp it, that we're able to have enough information to break the loop and crack this code so we can get to the next level. It seems very hard, but actually once we get to the core of it, it's probably not that hard to get to the next phase. We're close to launching ourselves to the next level. We can all feel it and sense it. Just have to connect the dots and go more to a field, an energy field of love and trust instead of the competitive modus that we now are in.
I'm gonna just quick. Colin, did you share your screen? I got a notification that you. Oh, okay. Looks like you're not anymore. Sorry.
Yeah. So most of us has experienced in our personal lives, but also how we experienced our professional life. That for us, it was sometimes painful, and there is suffering, and there is now a step coming in for us to begin the healing. So we want to step out the current outdated system into a new one, so we can heal ourselves and we can create a better world. We can begin with helping each other and supporting each other with that.
And that,
so we can flip from degenerative to regenerative.
right. And that's sort of gets into our gifting culture that we tend to think is something new, or the concept is new, but it's been around for over 95% of human history, where we just do things for each other. We take care of each other. We support each other in whatever we need. And, you know, let's just not, we start moving beyond needing forms of exchange per se, and or expecting to get something in return. We move beyond what do I get, you know, what do I get out of it, to what can I give, and it's unconditional, and it's gifting is regenerative, and it's our current model is limited, but when we start breaking out of the confines of mediums of exchange, then and talk about gifting culture, it's unlimited with unlimited possibilities. So then we start asking, okay, what is, instead of what do I get out of it, what is my gift? And here's the other thing. When we talk about gift economies or gifting cultures, we tend to think of, you know, ways to exchange goods or services. But really, on a spiritual level, it's like, what is my gift to the world? How can I share that gift best to the world and humanity?
Yeah, so a question that comes up a lot is, so who's going to clean the toilets? And we think that we are now about life in a new paradigm, which we have no representative leaders. But we almost immediately are drawn to the question, or who will do the work, or what has to be done. So, and maybe we should ask, why should I do it? But if we step into a model when we are all provided for and supported, and we take care of each other and we feel the love, then it's not so hard to pick up on these tasks that has to be done. We all want to keep our house in order, and I think it's more or less natural, and a lot of people would probably be happy to clean toilets if we experience a new model. We can all contribute with our personal gifts, like Georgia said, and we have to do this all together and evolve to a new paradigm.
So we have built well, what we call it is an alternative funding slice of our pizza pie, and you won't find a donate now button on our website, and we're trying to do things differently. So we're experimenting on how to best bring about that gift culture and gift economy where we can support each other. So we've built World Summit Unified Patreon platform to accommodate that. It's working now. Technologically, it's there, it's working, it's built, and financially, we are not flourishing with it yet, but we're confident it will come, because it's not about just funding our delegates. It's about funding your delegates. We can all share this platform and build a unified platform that's beyond just the World Summit, but groups, delegates from your groups that perhaps can come to Mexico or work remotely, but work with the World Summit in our pizza pie structure. And, you know, we were asked recently, well, you know, how much money or what would the World Summit do with $500 million, or how much money do you need? And what we've acknowledged is that just in the US alone, every year, $400 billion is donated or gifted to charities and NGOs, protest movements, et cetera. But the problems, and most of that, 80% of that comes from individuals. So we have tremendous power as individuals. But the problem is that the problems never get solved because they're all addressing symptoms year after year, perpetually. And so we need to recognize that we need to shift focus, shift our energies, and shift our economic support to addressing the root cause. And we're just going to keep getting this every single year. So I'm convinced that even under our current paradigm, there's not enough money in all the world to address some of our global challenges like climate change or deforestation or ocean acidification, et cetera, because money is the problem. And money, it's all, so we need to shift. So we don't need 500 billion or 500 million or even 50 million. We're thinking at this point for seed funding, $1 million would get us going. And maybe something short of that would get us going. It doesn't matter. But the point is, we need a hell of a lot less than what we think we need because we'd be addressing the root cause. And that's what delegates from the World Summit and from other groups working with us will be doing. That's the most important work right now.
Yeah, and an important part is investing in social capital to support these delegates. So we've set the table and we are ready to evolve. And it's good enough for now, and or safe enough for now and good enough to do. We work with sociocracy, which is working in circles. I think you all know how the system works, and holacracy. So we are busy on working on a self-governing self-governance foundation. So these are the tools we have now. So what we want to do is bring in the feedback loops. You can see it here on this pizza, that if you work with sociocracy, you have always one or two or some coordinators who bring the information to, in this case, a Unity core team, to a central point in the circle to discuss things and then bring the information back. So this is a feedback loop. Yes, and well, we have a lot of things to share with you because we created several tools. We have a project management tool platform. So we have a roadmap laid out. I think you've seen it before. We can take you through some of the tools we already created, like the Workspaces and Vinienta platform, and several documents that will support our process.
So you've heard us say this before, probably, you know, that our house is on fire and there's children inside. So we need to drop our differences and unify and come together and pass buckets of water. But this isn't coming from a place of fear, but instead empowerment and optimism for the future. And, you know, things are it's possible for us to flip the paradigm very soon, almost because of the urgency of our challenges and our problems. And so we're on the verge of this breakthrough, I think. And the Bucket Brigade is already built. It's already there. Now we just need to connect the dots, and this could happen very, very soon. And you're all familiar with the John F. Kennedy quote, ask not what your country can do for you, but what can you do for your country? So let's do a play on words here. And as we evolve to a global species, ask not what the World Summit can do for you, but what can you do for the World Summit? And, how can you help us help yourself and what your group is trying to achieve as well? And what is your gift to the world? And here's just a quote by one of our core delegate members, Gaitan Robert, and about activating ourselves and actuating our power. And, so we are each sovereign individuals, yet we're able to work together as one with the World Summit. So it's about all of us. And it's unity is about oneness. So let's unify. And anything to add to that, Robert?
No, there is nothing to add to this. So thank you for listening.
Awesome, guys. That was great. I think Nathaniel's going to take over now. And
Yep. So the next point on our agenda is just an open discussion from everyone who's here. We're going to have some Q&A time. So I guess the first thing would be to ask if anyone has like any super urgent questions or wants clarification on what was just presented. No? Was that super clear to everybody?
I'll dive in there then if no one else wants to. Just a very simple question is, what exactly is the vision for the World Summit event, which, as in the main event, which you're talking about in June, I think, for next year? So what sort of shape will that take? And what's the vision for that actual event? And is that actually the central purpose of the movement as a whole, to create this single event or events?
Thank you, Colin. Well, it's not the single purpose, of course. We already started. So this is already part of the unifying process. Of course, we set the date. We also have an interim summit in January planned to sort of do a dry run. But the vision is to bring together at the event 1,000 change makers and people from different parts of society, from all the sectors, and then create together or work together on the way how we feel we can unify best. You all have our ideas, and I think we just have to figure it out together first. It's not up for us as a group, or like we can say the World Summit can sort of give guidance now. That's true, but we really have to figure it out together. That's one thing. And we also see that if we have all the solutions together, let's find a way to amalgamate all these solutions and come to this new model in the best new model that is possible. So it's not really that's sort of the vision. Everything is not really rolled out yet. We have a timeline, of course, but things will happen in an organic way. And we, like just mentioned, we cannot oversee the whole stairs. We have to take it step by step.
So do you envision it then as the event itself as a kind of like a United Nations style conference-y type? I don't know. How do you actually envision the physical event happening? Is it like basically a large room with 1,000 people, like you and me and others, talking at the same time, or giving presentations, or how do you actually think it would pan out? And would it be like I suppose it would be like a few day event. It probably wouldn't be a single day event. But I'm just interested to see what would it actually physically look like.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I'd like to answer that if you don't mind, Colin. Sorry that my camera is off. I've got bad internet connection here. The whole idea of the World Summit event on the end of the day is to get everybody together and working on this interim transition that works for everyone, that we don't go just one way. like the Venus Project, or we go to just permaculture. It's an amalgamation of ideas that we put in together and then also act on it. It's something that is possible, and it's about the changing of the mindset. Some people seem to think that the whole World Summit event, well, that's it, you know, everything is going to be built, everything is going to be ready. It's not exactly like that. What we are doing is we are creating allies. We are creating allies amongst all the groups that are out there, and so we can work together, because not just one person or one group can change the whole paradigm. We need each other for that. And therefore, we need the World Summit event to have everybody there working together and actually flip it. And when everybody is there, we already have that critical mass. Then it's just a thing of, it's not talking about presentation, it's actually putting things into place that we can put into place, because by that time we will have that critical mass.
So yeah, thanks, Tony. To add to that, Colin, as far as the practical goes, what we're developing with this GPS system and the Amalgamated Intentions AI system is a way to funnel in before the event all of the solutions and proposals out there, and then we start. We also are amalgamating experts from around the world in all of those 12 sectors, and then we plug all of that stuff into the GPS, and then we start factoring in everything and developing criteria for ranking solutions, and then the GPS will help us chart out, okay, this is the best step to get from here to there to there to there, and the best solutions, so that we do not, I don't envision that we are just going to have, you know, we're not going to have politicians standing around pleading their case and then asking everybody to vote on it. That's the old paradigm. We're entering into a whole new system of sense-making and decision-making, where we start arriving at decisions.
Can I add
Yes.
something? Okay, yeah, and the thing we envision physically, Colin, if I may, yes, it's to gather about 1,000 to up to 2,000 people in one place, and virtually too worldwide by screen or whatever, and bring people from the 12 major sector, ecology and and have a discussion. And what we envision is to have that event in a week or so, not just 2 days or 3 days. And we already think of some place like here in Mexico or in New Zealand or in Iceland, and well, those are just options. So we need you guys to help us to amalgamate. How do you say that?
Amalgamate.
Yeah. Those options. But yes, we really envision about 1,000 to 2,000 people in the same time, with the professional and of the 12 sectors gathered together.
Yeah, and to do this in a practical way, the suggestion is, because if we put everybody in one room, it will be a little bit unorganized probably, that we create 12 domes for them with a core center in the middle. But we can open every dome and the membranes whenever we wish to. It's just getting all the best solutions first in place, and everybody's projects that has a relationship in that sector, and then sort of bring it to a center. So that's basically the idea.
I'd like to add on something else as well, please. It is, on the end of the day, about exposure, because the exposure is incredibly important. If you look at today's politicians, how they are trying to get their exposure to get elected, etc., it's also about all of us here, that we all create that kind of exposure, so we are all aware of each other and what is out there, and what kind of ideas and systems are as an alternative from today's system that we have. So it's about the exposure. Get that exposure, you get the critical mass, you get the people, not just the change makers, you get everybody on board. With that, they also have then the chance to say nay to the old paradigm and start working together towards the new paradigm.
Yes. So if I may, I'm just asking the question here, if we want to do a Q&A now, but what we envision is that we want to open up our membrane and not be dogmatic and allow a lot of time for you guys to speak or to contribute your solutions. So let's open up the floor, and if we have a long moment of silence while we're all thinking about how we can contribute to this, then let's have it. And just jump in anytime.
Can I ask something?
Yeah, of course, Denise.
Has anybody experienced when you do, if you want to have voting within one of those 12 sectors, domes that you're going to create at the event, there's a thing that you can use like Twitter voting, or, you know, sometimes if you're at the movies and they give you like each a little remote, or, you know, X Factor, or these other programs that use that each individual has a voting mechanism. So each sector could be having their private, you know, discussions, breakout discussions, but perhaps use some kind of technology to vote.
I think it's funneling all the best ideas and get all those ideas forward to create this interim transition that works for everyone. We don't necessarily need to vote on what is the best system right there and then. We need to create this interim transition so we can all transcend afterwards in our own individual way or as groups. Don't forget, I mean, each and every person here will probably end up with a lot of people supporting them because they will like their ideas, as long as it's under the umbrella of creating a regenerative world and a system that works for everyone. So it's all about the interim at the moment. What are the best solutions for that? I don't think we really need to vote on that. That's what we live by. It's good enough for now. It's good enough to do. And as long as we can get that changed and get rid of the old paradigm and start thinking in the new way, I think we'll get a long way.
Thanks, Tony. So we really want to give you guys some space if you feel like stepping in. We're listening. And yes, Denise, we will use all the technologies that are available and also create our own possibilities. Matt is also working on with other groups.
Can I just mention something, please?
Sure, Steve.
Yeah, great presentation, guys. I love the whole concept. Really looking forward to the actual event next year. Wherever it is, I'm pretty committed to be there, whether it's in Mexico or even better, New Zealand, because it's just down the road. I'm already there. But wherever it is, I'm committed there. I'm there. Okay.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
One of the things I would like to mention about the event and the vision for the event, and Lise mentioned, you know, having these satellite events. There's a lot of people that are heavily involved with their local community at a grassroots level or involved with other organizations. And the events, you know, as leaders of your own organization or involved with other organizations, you can create your own satellite event. And that can look, you know, that is open to complete creation, what that looks like from your area. But the most important part is that that, you know, what you're working on has a voice in the amalgamation process. And so don't feel because there's this one physical event that it has to be everybody there. It can be spread out all over the world.
Yeah. We hope it's spread out all over the world.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess one of my posed questions to the people that are here today is, how do you feel, or what do you envision you know, why did you get involved with the World Summit? What do you envision as being your piece? Do you want to talk about that today?
Shall I step in?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Just because what I and my couple of colleagues are focused on is how we communicate, and that's our contribution. And it's been really great how the World Summit core team have really got behind the idea of a simpler version of English that the other 75% of the world have much more of a chance of understanding. And so that's our contribution, is focused on the kind of inclusive language that might be slower and more clear than, I'm from New Zealand, I could speak New Zealand, but that wouldn't be fair. So we're really excited. We're really excited by the possibility to do a test run of what we want to do actually in a much bigger scale. World Summit is kind of a test run for really asking ourselves, what is a full, complete conversation? And that's a big question. And we're thrilled, I'm thrilled in my life to keep thinking about that till I die, frankly.
Awesome, Mo. Thank you for sharing that. We definitely have room on our communications slice to hear more of your project. Absolutely.
Steve, it sounded like you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I hope you can hear me. Am I coming through?
Yeah.
Good. And it's great to see you, Nathaniel. Get to meet you and see old friends here and meet new ones. And hopefully you guys have seen some of the videos that I've made for, you know, the resource-based economy and the Money-Free Party. And yeah, so I don't know, I'm a little depressed today after watching the elections yesterday. You guys tuned into those just to see how controlled and dumbed down the people are in this country. You know, it was a little depressing. So I'm trying to get psyched back up here, working on more videos. And, you know, the next one I'm doing is called the Second American Revolution, because really the same conditions exist now that existed a couple hundred years ago. These, you know, the founders were revolting against bankers and corporations and corrupt government and taxes. So really we have the same conditions right now. And so I think that'll be a good one. But, you know, you have to lay out, you know, your vision for you're starting another revolution. Do you need a constitution, a Declaration of Independence the way they did? And I'm thinking, well, yeah, we're going to have to do that. So I'm thinking in 2019, that'll be one of the things that I'll be working on. And, you know, the Constitution, the way it's laid out now, you've got, you know, the powers going to the Congress, the Senate, and whatever. We need to just move this online. You know, we need to have an online government, if you're going to call it that. But, you know, that's one thing we need to do. But you know how they say, if you want to make this system obsolete, you have to come up with one that's better. And so we're going to have to show that. And we're going to have to really put it down on paper, what we want to do in this political avenue that some of us are pursuing now. And so that, you know, that's one thing I'll be working on. And I just have to figure out how to get more people to see my videos, because, you know, a couple thousand people have seen a few of them, a few hundred people more likely have seen the others, and it's a lot of preaching to the choir there. So I'm trying to figure out a way to, you know, get something to go viral, or at least to be seen by a lot of people. And, you know, there's a lot of talk shows like the Jimmy Dore Show. I don't know if you guys see that. Jimmy Dore, D-O-R-E. I'd go to his show and subscribe to that one. That's a good one. And he's had Peter Joseph on there, and Abby Martin and Lee Camp. So I think he may be open to talking to the Money Free Party once we get going in 2019 here, talking about the 2020 elections. So, you know, he has almost 500,000 subscribers, I think. So I'm going to find shows like this where I can get on there and talk about the, you know, this new system that we're all advocating. And Chris Hedges, you know, is another guy who sees the dire straits we're in and has commented that, you know, we're not going to fix this within this political system. It's going to take a revolution. And, you know, that's what we need to be focusing on here is, you know, the Second American Revolution, I guess. Anyway, that's where my thoughts are now. And, you know, I need to make some videos that can get some more people interested. And I was thinking, Money Free Party, Best Sex Ever, as a title for one of them. Ha ha. You know, without the pressures of money, you would have that. Now, I can make sort of a funny video with that. Maybe it's going to take that kind of exploitation with a title to get people to see it. The next one I'm doing after this is called, you know, End the NFL or football.
Yeah.
And so the concussions that, you know, people are having, should we just get rid of football? And then I laugh and say, okay, I'm just kidding. People's heads would explode if that happened. But can we get rid of the owners? Because, you know, we've got these NFL teams and they all have these owners except one, Green Bay Packers. You know, they're owned by the city. So shouldn't we all do that? You know, shouldn't the fruits of our, you know, what's coming back with revenue, shouldn't that go into the cities rather than into some owner's pocket? And, you know, maybe end the NFL. People will go, what? What's he talking about? I got to see that. So,
well, thank you, Steve. But
Steve, yeah, I just want to ask you, because you refer to having sex, great sexual relationship with your partners, and that's,
yeah,
I think nobody has a real objection of having that. But you can also call it super sex, which is a high level of synergizing.
Yeah.
And so I just want to tap into it. If you can give a short answer, so someone else give the floor. How do you see then your project can tap into the World Summit? Can you connect those two, and so they are supported?
All I can see is trying to build up a following of people who are getting behind the Money Free Party and the kind of system we're advocating, and then point people like in the videos to the World Summit, you know, and that's what I did in the last one. I just put up another one a week ago, and so I mentioned the World Summit in there, and I'm trying to point people to that. And so, you know, that's all I can do. But I was about at the end of my presentation there, so I'll turn it over to somebody else. Just wanted to let everybody know what we're trying to do here with Money Free Party USA. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steve.
All right.
Hi, this is David Cam from the Earth Dollar. So, do you mind if I speak a little bit?
No, of course. Go for it.
I would like to contribute sponsorship financially towards the World Summit. Because I think your event is in June or July. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's in June.
June,
2019.
yes. I think by that time we should be able to contribute financially to some sponsorship for the World Summit, because we're also organizing a similar event in August or September 2019. We're teamed up with Live Aid and Live Earth. This event will be broadcast to about 1 billion people around the world. So we would like to be able to use your event as a launch pad for our event in August or September 2019. So our event is in the 25 cities around the world. With the main city will be in Western USA that can hold about 500,000 to 1 million people. And we would like the World Summit to be one of the major talking points of our event, if that's possible. Thank you.
Thanks, David.
Awesome. Thank you.
And this is what it's all about. It's about, you know, if we can all put our resources and strengths together, we can flip this paradigm in no time. But it needs all of us. We can't do it just by ourselves. And the sooner we start working together, the sooner we can actually flip it.
Yeah, this is amazing. Thank you, Steve, and thank you, David, for your speaking out and speaking up. You know, as you guys are doing this, we as a team will be turning around and really understanding how we can help to support you, and how both platforms can come together and support each other in the ultimate goal.
Yes, I think it'll be helpful because we have broadcast to about 1 billion people around the world. If solutions can be featured, we have different multiple channels. Some will be musical channels, some will be conference channels. If we can put it properly into different segments of things, some people will be interested in watching the music, obviously, but some people will be interested in the conference. So we're working with multiple TV stations to pipe some of the content into the homes of the people who want to watch it, you know.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and I was originally hearing the proposal for the two events to be one event, or using the space through Shelley Ohm to be able to house the World Summit. But you know, maybe if it turns out better like that, but maybe it'd be good to have the World Summit and then be able to have like have that test run and be able to transition into the event a month or two later. Maybe that's good how that's turning out, maybe.
If I could jump in there for a minute, I have to go shortly. I just want to give a brief summary of the sort of things that I'm up to, and how I think that what we're doing and what the World Summit could do can help each other. One of the biggest challenges, I think, with all of the work that we're doing, and I think pretty much everyone would agree, is actually getting to reach the people, finding new audience, spreading the ideas, spreading the message. It's basically communication and PR, and putting their ideas out there. I mean, I've been involved in various projects like the Free World Charter, and writing books and movie scripts and all this kind of stuff, and pretty much centering around the same idea. We've also created like a gifting network called freeworlder.com, if you haven't heard of it. And it was basically like an app where people can go and give and get goods and services for free. But of course, it's designing the apps and writing the books and coming up with the ideas is really only one half the puzzle, and I'm finding more and more it's even less than half of the puzzle, because really the hard part is actually reaching people, is actually spreading the message, spreading the ideas, and getting people to engage with the ideas and the proposal that we're doing and to act on that. That's really, really tough. I mean, especially in this day and age where of internet, people like the attention span of a goldfish, and they just want instant gratification, and if they're not getting it, if it looks like it's hard work, they're just not interested, to just move on. But that's the reality that we're dealing with. One of the things that I think that World Summit, I mean, I really applaud the guys who are putting this stuff together. I mean, well done for this idea, and it looks like it's taken on legs, which is fantastic. And I think one of the most important roles it can play is actually providing the conduit, basically, for people like me or people like Steve or the other. I don't know everyone else here, but the people who actually have their own great projects going on, to help them to reach an audience, to reach a bigger audience, because obviously together we're stronger. You know, that's over, and individually we can't reach so many people. So yeah, it's like a case of many hands make light work, and that's what I see as the World Summit. Really, that's where it can really shine, and where its strength really can be, is actually to help get the ideas out to more people, to broaden our cutting edge, so to speak. So that's really all. That's what my interest in it anyway. My selfish interest, I suppose, is to try and I have the certain projects that I'm working on. I need to find bigger audience for that, and it's tough out there, and you guys will understand, of course, as well. So I'm very impressed by the way that you've grown the movement, and you've raised the profile, and really quite quickly, and I think that's really good. And so hats off to you guys for doing that. The only slight reservation I would have is that maybe the name World Summit is just a tad misleading. That it does sound to me, and the mistake that I made is that it sounds like it is really this one big summit or meeting, but when in actual fact it isn't really. I don't think that's probably the strength of it. The strength of it is the networking opportunities that we can create here. To get it out there. So that's the only slight reservation I have, but that's just a mood thing. So I have to say, really happy with you guys. I will support you all the way, and I hope to see you guys in June in the flesh. I mean, there's no substitute for meeting in face to face, and I'm really looking forward to that. So congratulations everyone and all the stuff. There's too other people here to know what you guys are all up to, but we'll find out over time. And like I say, I have to sign off now. And it's been really good to meet you, and I hope to see you all again soon.
Thank you, Colin.
Thanks, Colin.
Thanks
for being here.
Say something.
Yeah, I just want to say, and Colin Groups is a very good example. If we gather together, and for all of you groups, we're gonna work for each other. We're gonna work to succeed what you're doing right now, Colin, and we're gonna be powerful, like you say. Strength in number, I think you pronounce it that way. So it's a teamwork. It's just a teamwork. Instead of working separately, we're gonna work together. That's it. It's a teamwork. And as you say, I think the main thing we need is exposure, communication, and exposure. So here, it's one of the points of our agenda. We already have a hub here. We could people could come here and support the World Summit here and work with us. Yeah, what we need it's communication people. We need marketing people. We need outreach and onboarding people.
Tech and governance.
Tech and governance people, strategy, alternative funding people. You could work remotely or work from here. I mean, it's kind of nice too, you know? And yeah, so we need you. We need you guys. That's it.
Yeah, and even if you want to come and visit our project right now, or if you know somebody, a potential funder that wants to check us out, we can house them right now here at our Synergy Hub. And also, I don't know if we made clear, we have the June main summit with Synergy Hubs all around the world, simultaneous events. But leading up to that, we're doing a dry run, a rehearsal, so to speak, where we start assembling people in the 12 sectors for a January interim summit here in Mexico. So we're sort of working backwards and making this thing happen step by step by step until it becomes the whole event itself becomes a reality. So
great. Have you got any participation from the Zeitgeist movement, from people in the Zeitgeist movement? I mean, let's say the higher echelons. Is there any kind of commitment from there, or maybe from people like the Venus Project? Are they on board with World Summit, or are you working on that?
We have some members. We think that's the low-hanging fruit, and we are not explicitly a money-free organization because we feel like for most of the world that has not considered those ideas, it might be divisive. But ultimately, all these groups, when we start focusing and getting people from all the different 12 sectors, it's forcing us to automatically have built-in diversity. So we're going to have, zeitgeist or, new paradigm people in economics or spirituality or in agriculture or whatever.
Ecology.
Colin, I can add something to your question. A nice example, for instance, is that Erica Sundance has started a platform and she puts her energy in connecting all the Money 3 groups together, which will fit in one of the sectors, like trading, sharing, and economics, and alternative funding. So that's really great. We would love to see that more, that other people do that in other sectors, so we can start connecting the dots. So it's all connected in a way, so everything is okay, it's fine.
Yeah, I understand that. I know Erica is doing a fantastic job. Actually, I really love her work. And one of the main reasons I asked actually about Zeitgeist and Venus is because they have access to a large network and to a large mailing list. I mean, I have quite a decent mailing list, which obviously would be happy to impart some of the information on. No problem there. But also there's one of the ways that we can grow is that we all have various projects and we all have our own mailing lists. And probably if you sum all that together, we could possibly have a reach of maybe 1 million or more people. You know, who knows?
Absolutely.
That's why I think it's important to. I mean, I understand that you don't want to promote the no money message. I understand that completely, but certainly it needs to be included. It needs to be on the table. So I wouldn't. I mean, I wouldn't say it doesn't mean to be exclusively on the table, but I mean we should have those people invited there. Because they can really help broaden the reach. And of course, anyone else with other ideas. I mean, most people know I'm personally against UBI, for example, but I'm perfectly happy to discuss that with people and to meet with people who are talking about that, because I do believe it's more good than it's bad, and I think it needs to have a voice as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We're allowing for all of that, and but. So what the key there that I think you hit on is about sharing each other's membership lists. That's what we talk about, opening up our membranes, right? Including our own. And we cross-pollinate and share all of these, and we amplify each other's exposures, right? Share our membership list.
Yeah. So my main point really is to try and engage with the influencers, the people who already have large influence, Peter Joseph and stuff like that. I mean, that's the best way we're going to grow, because it's very hard to actually reach new people. You know, social media is so much locked down, and I know people have very short attention spans, so that's difficult. But anyway, listen, Psych, I have to go. It's been really good to meet you and talk to you all. I'd love to talk to you all again in detail. And hope to see you all in June, okay? So, ciao. Good night.
Thanks, Colin. Ciao.
Aloha, Colin.
Can I just pop in there a minute?
Yeah, of course, Steve.
Colin was relaying there a couple of challenges he has, and I think everyone has. It's difficult, number one, to reach people, even though we have social media, you know, we have Facebook, etc. And on the face of it, it would seem to be easy to reach people, but the other challenge is getting people to get buy-in as well, to buy into these all our different systems and solutions, etc. I think we've come up. We're coming up with an elegant solution to that, and that is that, number one, we're about ready to release our own social media site. It's been programmed, it's been coded, and it's been finished. They're just ironing out a few bugs, and we've got a group of people around the world testing it right now. So that will be an alternative to Facebook. You know, a lot of us love Facebook, but we also hate Facebook as well at the same time, because of the many problems that, you know, with the privacy and snooping on people, etc. So we've got our own social media site that's almost ready to go. But the other thing is to get people's buy-in. You know, we don't need bribing to get into this stuff. We all feel this in our heart. We all want to do this for the betterment of mankind. But a lot of people today, they look for what's in it for me. And that's a big challenge for us, because, as Colin said, you know, people have a very short attention span, and unless there's something in it for them immediately, then they're not going to carry on watching videos, etc. Because it's just not important to them at that moment in time. So another solution we've come up with is basically we bribe people. We pay people to give us their attention, and it's working pretty well. You know, we can reach people now in every part of the world, basically. We're going to be giving away smartphones where people don't have them, get an internet connection where people can't get it. And so we're going to be reaching people. But the other thing is, as I say, we've got this method where we share all our revenue. So imagine a revenue the size of Facebook, Amazon, and PayPal combined, but then distributed fairly amongst mankind. And so I think those challenges that Colin has there and that we all have, we can solve pretty soon.
Well, I think we're all certainly looking forward to developments on that end. Definitely sounds like that's in line.
Thanks.
Kelly, or I think Kishore, do you guys have anything to add?
Yeah, like, can I ask something?
Of course.
Yeah. So as you were saying, you envision the main event for maybe a week with over 1,000 people. So what are those 1,000 people actually going to do in the main event? Like, what's going to take place in the main event?
Well, to further clarify, we actually, Robert's trying to pull up a program for the event itself. Okay, so we have an event slice on our pizza pie, and so we did some initial planning of how the event might look, but until we get more people, we don't want to come up with a solution and here it is, right? We want to get a bunch of people gathered and then arrive at which is the best way to play out the event itself. But we envision, so people will come, I think it's 11 days, but we think that's just the start of it. We will have people working with us wherever we are for months, as long as it takes. And that we're talking experts and thought leaders and scientists, spiritual leaders, risk assessment people, etc. So this is a serious business about getting to work, creating a transition, an actual transition to a new self-governing body.
Yeah. So on an overall basis, it's like we are creating a network where we can support each other.
Yes, yeah. A self-governing network that is bypassing the existing systems.
Yeah. So for now, the program isn't, sorry, Richard, shortly. It's 11 days and it's built up the first 3 days in taking a look specifically to within all the sectors, having talks and workshops there, what the best solutions are, and then connect them, bring them together to a core center. So I think we need to refine the program yet, and it's open, it's ready for feedback and input, and I think we can come to a beautiful program together. Richard?
Yeah, and we very much welcome your input into that program. That's partly why it, on the one hand, seems a bit vague. It is intentionally vague so that as people come on board with different ideas and different backgrounds, we can build the best event that it's possible to build at the time. The other thing I wanted to say was that much of the actual results of the summit itself, the best stuff actually comes from the relationships that are built in the lead up to the summit and the actual event itself. I mean, on some of our good times, we suggest it may just end up being a party, you know, because the real good work may have already been done. Because the most important thing, it seems, certainly from my position, coming from New Zealand and being sort of on the outside edge of things, is building the relationships with the other participants. That's probably the most important thing of all. And finally, I'd just like to say that as the structure and the intention of the summit is very fluid and flexible, so is the timeline. And I think it was Troy originally came up with the expression dynamic timeline. So none of this is fixed in stone. You know, we're quite happy to move faster if it gets easier. And certainly our work that we're doing down here in the the South Island of New Zealand, particularly on the West Coast, is running away with me. I can't even keep up. It's one of the reasons I'm sick, because the new opportunities just keep falling in my lap, and I'm just charging around the country, racing ahead further than I ever could have imagined was possible, even with the permanently affixed rose-tinted spectacles that I wear. So I'm so excited, and we may be much further ahead than even any of us could have imagined by June 19. So it's really exciting, actually. Thank you.
I'd like to just quickly step in. I've just following Rich in New Zealand is I just feel the way you're holding this video call is really open and inclusive, and you're saying we are not a new organization, we're not a new entity, we're trying to be a space for the other organizations. And I want to just as feedback and then a question is just, I feel like your personal commitment from Mexico to communicate in a way that holds a space for and focused on the interests of each of us. And then if we all do it for each other, it's pretty much paradise already today, and it's like, I have to say, it happens in each conversation or it doesn't, and we're all human, so it's a practice. So it's cool. It feels like it's really, you're really doing what you're saying, and that's cool to see. So thank you for that. My question is, are you guys thinking about all the people involved with rainbow gatherings around the world? Are you connected with people? Because that would be very interesting to reach out into the rainbow gatherings. I feel like I should leave my house and family, get on the road around rainbow gatherings and say, get on it, World Summit.
No, thank you, Mo. Of course, we understand that every connection we have and creating a relationship with them is equally important. We cannot possibly invite the whole world in right now. However, of course, we have to find together also this nice balance that we feel is representative for the whole of society. So it doesn't mean that it's our say. It means that we sort of are now guiding the process. That's why the interim summit in January is so important. Building relationships, and most of you will probably be there, being together, working together in one space, tapping into each other's energies and getting to know each other and support each other. So, and yes, most certainly the Rainbow organization or others will be invited there also.
Yeah, and what we're sort of shifting towards is we've had an outreach team here in Mexico, a handful of people working for several months doing outreach, contacting groups, and that's great. It's gotten us to the level we're at now. Now what we also need help with is for each individual to be empowered to make those connections with the groups that they're affiliated with. So, or if anything, if you see something missing within the World Summit, number one, don't assume it hasn't been worked on, or maybe we are falling down and haven't addressed that because we need help. And number two, we each need to contact groups and movements and organizations in our own networks and reach out to them. So the Rainbow organization, we just don't have the bandwidth, nor should it be centralized. That's the empowerment aspect, that this is your World Summit, right? So if you're aware of something that we have either not seen or have not had the bandwidth to work on, then we each need to do that. And that's the unity, that's the unification process. But absolutely, we want Rainbow, we want Indigenous from all over the world, and that's, the 4 colors, and so all of it. Absolutely. Thank you, Mo.
Hi, this is David Cam speaking again. I think that for the gathering, we need to make a code of ethics on how to behavior, so we actually ensure that everything is smoothly, because we've seen other gatherings where people out of line because there's no actually guidelines towards how to interact. that's extremely important. I've seen so many Unity gatherings fail is because one or two person is very disruptive and there's no procedure to resolve that. So I think that's necessary. That sets the foundation of everybody's coming in. They know that their ego is kept at the door and other stuff, you know. So
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that is. Oh, sorry, Troy. But that is something we are working on in the technology and governance slice. Some of our members have a lot of specialty in creating co-creation models and how to engage in a way that doesn't disclude anyone. But that is something that we're definitely working on and would appreciate any help on that side.
And in a very, we can have all we do have the alignment principles and all that, but in a very, very almost overly simplistic way, we can use we do use the concept of whether something or someone is unifying or disunifying. If it's disunifying, then it needs to be put aside because we're focusing on unifying.
I think it's really interesting. It's really important. Like as you unify, there's a resonance that you attract. You're attracting like similar. You know, you want to be on the same vibe. Sometimes someone's tired, sometimes someone's awake, and so having that flow available also, where it's like, here's a space you can relax. Here's a space you can activate. I also want to mention, one of the things he said earlier was about how, what the World Summit is, and then there's unifying the unifiers. So I'm seeing these as two different objectives. I'm seeing the world, how I see it, is the World Summit is a solution. It's a solution, and unifying the unifiers, although it may be a solution too, it's kind of more how it kind of falls more in line how we do things. And this is where I think that it's really important to look at is how we're doing things as we start to gather groups together. There's two different philosophies. There's, we can only work with 500 people, and then it becomes too crazy. Or as it gets bigger and bigger, where are the communication lines? Are we duplicating 10, 20, 30 websites, and is everyone just able to do whatever they want? Who has access to build those websites? Who has, how does that all look? And I've got one thing, if you don't mind, I want to show you. It's not fully complete. We're still in the decision, or still in the development of it. But basically, one thing that I was mapping out was like there's world level agreement fields. So this would be like, and then there's organizational, and an organizational agreement field is how we do things. And so we've agreed, we don't need to make decisions together necessarily on a world level. We just want to make sure that the people that we're aligned with aren't taking our resources and our time and our work and creating slave armies to, infiltrate us, or oil fields to, or whatever. So the world level agreement field, we want to make sure that there's some values and alignment and whatever, and that there's a general alignment. Organizational is when we start making decisions together. And then portals to agreement fields. Any organization can bring someone into an agreement field. And so it's important to decipher the difference. World Summit would be a solution. Green Earth City would be a solution. Different texts, these would be solutions. And then locations. So understanding, I guess for me, one thing, and I'm not fully understanding, maybe I'll make a graph of it, but is how we're, as we adopt new organizations and we're unifying, how they fit in, who has the keys to the website, what's the name, what's the, and where that all fits in, so that we're not taking on more than we can chew, and that we're, and I'm really excited to see the decision-making thing that you guys came up with. That looks really, really cool, and I want to see how that all fits in. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Josh.
Can I just ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
It goes going on from what Josh has just said. I mean, that idea really resonates with me about the agreement fields. I'm very conscious that the transition part is really the part that is going to turn the paradigm round. And for me, the January summit is about how do we set the parameters for the transition. You know, what are the tools that we need? So things like that are going to be a really useful tool to have, together with mapping tools, together with kind of, we need to have our, some kind of consensus tools as well. But also very, very important is that during the transition, I don't see that we're suddenly going to go from a moneyed world to a money-free world. And as part of those agreements, I think it would be good to look at kind of alternative currencies as well as gifting economies. So it would be good to try and put those together in some kind of package. So these are the skills that we're perhaps looking for the January summit in unifying the unifiers. Does that make sense?
Well, thank you, Paramjit. And this is exactly what we want to do, to get this discussion going and also talk about it during the interim summit and the main event, of course. So, yes, and I think basically also what Josh said and what you were saying, it is about determining the strategy and how do we lay out things in the agreement fields, because actually we're coming to an agreement altogether, right? So I think it's a very important part of it, and that's one specific element. And it's a nice example, like Paramjit, I don't think you were aware of it maybe, that we were already talking to groups like Green Earth Vision with Josh, and that we're already looking into these agreement models. So I'm happy that you can see this is an ongoing constructive part of the World Summit.
Can I
Kelly?
to answer Paramjit's comment there about alternative currencies, we've already created alternative currencies. I don't know whether you guys have seen. I don't know whether you guys have seen the video on YouTube about the Brixton pound. It's Brixton in London. They went through horrible times way back when there was race riots, etc. But the community have rallied round together and they've created their own currency called the Brixton pound. Well, we're giving people the ability now through our software to do exactly that, to create their own currency. So I've created a couple of currencies already, one for the World Vision charity and one for a project that we're working on in the Philippines. And it's so easy. You can create a currency in minutes using our platform. I could actually create a currency for the World Summit. So I could create a World Summit dollar or a World Summit pound. Or
this is what I'm talking about.
Very easily within
match that.
Thank you, Steve. Sorry, guys. It's really great, but we want to sort of focus this discussion when we have another opportunity and platform for it, and that's what we're creating together. So if we go into this discussion now, it would probably take a few hours. So, but it's great to hear about all the solutions that are available.
So I was just going to ask one more time if Kelly had anything, because you haven't yet spoken up.
Thanks, Nathaniel. Thanks, everyone, for inviting me tonight, today, wherever everyone else is in the world. I have done a lot of things and am doing a lot of things. I have created corporate entities to help transition from one paradigm to the next, and that sits there for whoever needs it at any time. My passion that I'm physically growing into, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, environmentally, is wellness. Like people's transitioning from a structured paradigm to allowing themselves to be who they need to be creative in their own mindset. that transition is phenomenal. And they think that that thought or that beingness for that transition is making them sick because they're raising their vibration, because they're actually empowering themselves to think outside the box, I believe is absolutely massively important in supporting a world summit, supporting any event for change or transition or coming into a new paradigm. So what I've actually been doing behind the scenes is creating a platform so people can have a safe space, and we're going to be calling them light stays, hubs, clinics, wellness centres, whatever that means. And it means that the light stays within them and nobody can take that from them. And that if they want to grow, it's at their own personal levels, and they can move up at any time that they wish to, and nobody can take that from them either. I believe that entertainment is critical as well. It's visual. Movies, documentaries, for one, is really, really important. People get to see, hear, and feel the vibration from other people's experiences. And then at the same time, there's like-minded people that are around that can share their stories. And sharing stories is also healing, because what somebody else says, somebody else may be going through at that particular point in time. So I really believe that at the World Summit or at any events, there needs to be alignment clinics or wellness clinics to support people in the transition, where they may think that, I think it was David Cam said before, we need to have things put in place for people that, step out of line or whatever. Sometimes people don't know that they're stepping out of line, and they need just to be sat down and listened to if they're wanting to express something more passionately than somebody else, and then just told that you do have a voice, you can express it, but let's just tone it down a little bit and use your normal speaking voice, like you're actually speaking to a 3-year-old, because some people need that, because some people, their whole life, nobody's listened to them at all. So having that support group there to be able to help people transition, I think is really, really critical. And yeah, that's my take on it.
Well, that certainly sounds like something that we could use in the Synergy Hubs and at the main event, especially if creating centers is something you're already working on. That might be a really excellent point for collaboration. We've just had some new people join us. If you wanted to say hi. Oh, yes.
Oh, sorry. In saying that, I am fully in support of everything everyone says and is doing for Troy, creating this movement and everybody coming on equally. I really think that it's amazing, and people coming from all around the world to support it. I'm in Australia, and I will definitely be supporting it, if not there, because I'm really, really trying to make the effort to come, or even, bring my little glamping tent to support people raising their vibrations. I've invested in it's an out of the world system, a dry injection, high vibration system that would help hone in on an individual to align the vibration of their system so that they can actually have their body vibrating at the frequency that it's actually meant to be vibrating at, which actually
Yeah, thank you, Kelly. Sorry to interrupt. I want to share with you that we have a lot of opportunities and channels to feedback. So if that's okay with you.
That's okay. I've got to go now anyway. I just wanted to share that.
Okay, thanks a lot for your support and being here, Kelly. That's great.
That's okay, no worries. Take care, everybody.
Bye, Kelly.
I just want to say something before everybody goes because it's 2 hours long now and everything. So we're gonna, it's record, the meeting is record. I'm gonna put it on the World Summit Facebook page. I'm gonna put it everywhere, the record. And all the documentation, I mean, we built a document called Alignment for the main event, the one you asked me before.
The alignment principles.
Yeah, so we built a document. So if you are interested, you could ask me directly or anybody from the World Summit to have that document. We are open source. And more than that, if we want to be more involved immediately with us, every Wednesday we have a Unity Core team Zoom call.
Same time as this.
At the same time as this one start, which is 18 UTC hours. You could join us there. We are sorry. We're going to be very happy to have you there. But anything you want, any document, ask us. It's going to be a pleasure to share it with you. If you want to know more, if you want to be involved, you do, guys.
And it's like, so you don't know it yet, but you're already part of the Unity Core team. It's like Hotel California. You can check in, but you can never leave.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah. Well, about anybody else have any question, or are we complete?
Lisa, I thought you could just add that document to the small group as well.
Yes, the group I create on Facebook, which is called Zoom Mini Summit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna add the link. I'm gonna add this recording, and I'm gonna add the documentation film. Yeah. But don't be afraid. Ask me. I'm there. Ask me anything, or most.
And let's kick in the exponential function, and if we all share this with our networks and open up our databases, our membership lists, and start spreading this. It's our World Summit.
Yeah, and I'd just like to say, if there was anybody here that didn't get a chance to speak and really wanted to speak, or just is tired now, please feel free to reach out to us. We are here at the Synergy Hub. We've just opened we're really trying to open the channels of communication now. And, questions, comments, concerns, where you fit in, need guidance, reach out. We're here. Thanks for showing up.
Yeah. So, as Lise mentioned, we are hitting the 2-hour mark, and that's all this was scheduled for. If all of you are up for it, we could continue going through the rest of the agenda points, but that's kind of up to the group.
I'm going to step out.
Yeah, I have to go. Yeah.
And like I said, any question, anything, ask us. Yeah, we are there to answer your question and to serve you guys.
And remember to come out and visit us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need people to come to the Synergy Hub. We got rooms available. Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye, everyone. It was nice to meet all of you.
Bye.
Yeah.
Very
nice.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
See you all.
See you all.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks so much, everybody. Well done. Bye.
Bye, Richard.
Bye.
Bye. See you, Steve.
I just got here.
Hello and goodbye.
Hello, Vena.
I guess this is hello and goodbye.
Yeah, hello, Vena, Charlotte.
Hi.
We will get you. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I just got home.
Yeah, for me, I had an amazing journey for more than 9 hours in a crazy airplane.
Well, thanks for checking in anyway.
Well, I'm glad I at least was able to see you guys. You guys are doing so wonderfully. It's so exciting to see all these people here together. And well, hope to see you next Wednesday or something like that.
Yeah, thanks, Sarah.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye, Gaetano. Bye, Steve.
Bye-bye.